everybody, I'm here today to talk about the new movie, The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck, which is out this weekend, so let's just get into it. This movie is kind of interesting because it's called The Accountant, but if you've seen any of the ads or even just the posters for it, it's, called The Accountant, and then it's Ben Affleck like holding a machine gun. It's definitely an action movie, or at least a movie that has really cool action sequences in it, but it's also got a couple math sequences in it, so it's a little peculiar in that way. The character that Ben Affleck plays is a guy who actually suffers from autism. We don't really learn explicitly what his affliction is until later in the movie, but you can kind of surmise what it is just from his behaviors as we learn about him through flashbacks of him as a boy and, just see his behavior now that he's an adult. I think the movie did a really, really great job of showing rather than telling us what was going on with Ben Affleck's character throughout the movie. They don't rely on exposition a whole lot. They really do a really good job of communicating visually, which is at its heart what movies should do. As far as Ben Affleck's performance goes, I'm not entirely sure how to feel about it because on the one hand, I really feel like there were points where maybe he wasn't quite sure how to play a character who suffers from autism. One thing I wanted to point out was the movie has a lot of really good moments of humor in it, which is kind of odd because at least for me as an audience member, when we were all laughing at these various little moments of just, Ben Affleck's character being awkward because of his autism. It's almost like, oh, am I allowed to laugh at this? Like you feel like, PC Principal's gonna come in and yell at you or something. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna play with a lot of people. A lot of people might be more sensitive to it, or a lot of people might just laugh along with it. So I'm not really sure if the filmmakers are gonna catch a lot of heat for that. There are a couple twists in this movie, and one of the major ones I would say is a punch that they telegraphed in Act 1. In fact, it's so obvious, I was kind of like, can we please get to the point here? Because I already know what's going on with this particular twist, so I don't know why they're acting like we don't know. It's sort of that moment where the characters in the movie don't know something for way too long, but you as an audience member start getting impatient with them for not figuring it out. But overall, I think it was actually quite enjoyable to watch. I wasn't really sure what to make of this movie because it is so weird. It's like an accountant who's also kind of like an assassin almost kind of guy. It's really, really weird. But I think that peculiarity is what makes it kind of interesting. One thing I think the movie suffered from was having almost too many subplots. It's almost like instead of servicing their A plot, they didn't give that enough attention and they were too busy building B, C, D, and even an E plot if I kept my count right. So I think if they had really gotten rid of some of those subplots, it would have been a lot more tidy and a lot more clean and a lot more effective. In fact, there's one moment in the second half of the film where it kind of comes to a grinding halt because they go off on this tangent about a subplot of a tertiary character that we didn't need at all. So that's just one thing I wish they had done, was just kind of cleaned up the script and maybe gotten rid of some of that extraneous storytelling and just focus on the main A and B storylines. This isn't really an action movie per se, but it has some really great action sequences in it. There's a lot of holy shit moments where you'll see certain action moves or fight choreography that's really cool. So if you like that kind of thing, you're gonna like this. Jon Bernthal, aka Shine from The Walking Dead, is in this movie and he is great. I'm really happy to see him getting larger roles because he's an extremely talented actor and he really deserves them. Anna Kendrick's character, her name's Dana, she's actually a really cool and interesting character too. I think there's a moment in there's one particular sequence where she gets to be really resourceful and almost be her own hero, and I really enjoyed that. If I had to grade this movie, I'd give it a B-. I think it's kind of funny to have this idea and to also even have like a math sequence in there, which is very reminiscent of Good Will Hunting, fittingly enough, but also to have these cool action sequences in there as well. So even though the filmmaking got a little bit all over the place with all these different subplots, I think it's still a pretty enjoyable movie and worth checking out if you're curious. So that's it for this one. Let me know if you guys have seen The Accountant or if you're planning to see it this weekend, and make sure you subscribe to CineFix for more movie reviews and roundtables and movie lists and things you didn't know and, all the crap we do. See you guys next time.